The surveillance drone designated X-7749, standing barely 1 meter tall, had infiltrated hundreds of species habitats across the galaxy. He had documented the bathing rituals of the silicon-based Krathens, watched the methane breathers of Epsilon Prime cleanse themselves in toxic fog, and recorded the crystalline entities of Zephon as they absorbed stellar radiation. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for what he witnessed when he materialized inside Mia Chen's bathroom aboard the human colony ship. Perseverance X-7749's compound eyes widened to their maximum aperture as steam filled the cramped space. The shower activated with a hiss, and Mia stepped under the cascading water without hesitation. The alien's biosensors went haywire. The water temperature registered at nearly 45 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause severe pain to most sentient species he'd catalogued. Yet the human female simply sighed in what his translator interpreted as pleasure? Impossible, X-7749 whispered in his clicking native tongue, his three-fingered hands frantically adjusting his recording equipment. His mission parameters were clear: observe human behavior, identify weaknesses, report back to the collective. But this defied all logic in his extensive xenobiological database. Mia reached for a bottle, squeezed a viscous blue substance into her palm, and began working it into her hair. X-7749's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his kind. The chemical analysis of that substance showed it contained surfactants strong enough to strip protective mucus layers from most species. She was voluntarily applying a mild toxin to her body. Then came Ken. The bathroom door slid open and a human male entered, already stripped of his garments. X-7749 scrambled behind the toilet unit, his camouflage field flickering with his panic. He'd been briefed that humans were territorial, especially regarding their sleeping and cleansing spaces. An intrusion like this would surely result in violence. Room for one more? Ken asked, his voice carrying that strange melodic quality humans called humor. Mia laughed. Another sound X-7749's database struggled to classify as anything other than a possible threat display. The water's perfect today. Recyclers must be working overtime. Ken stepped into the shower cubicle with her, and X-7749's scientific composure shattered completely. His species bathed in nutrient pools once every lunar cycle, alone in darkness as nature intended. This was madness. Two humans sharing heated chemical water in close proximity, seemingly enjoying the experience. X-7749 watched, transfixed, as Ken picked up something called soap, another mild corrosive, and began applying it to Mia's back. The human female made a sound that the translator labeled contentment, leaning into the touch rather than away from it. Long day? Ken asked, his hands moving in circular patterns across her shoulders. 3 EVAs, 2 equipment failures, and Captain Rodriguez wants the habitation module recalibrated by tomorrow, Mia replied, tilting her head back to let the scalding water, X-7749 sensors still couldn't process that temperature, cascade over her face. I'm exhausted, and yet you're still standing under water that could boil most of the galaxy's species alive, Ken observed with another smile. X-7749's recording device nearly slipped from his grasp. Could these humans know they were being observed? No. The comment seemed to be another instance of their peculiar humor, possibly referencing their awareness of their own species' absurd durability. The collective had sent him here to find weaknesses. Every species had them. The Vryn collapsed under 1.2 g of gravity. The Thessians required atmospheric pressure within a 2% variance, or their respiratory systems failed. The mighty Corvan Empire's warriors couldn't function if their core temperature varied by more than 3 degrees. But humans? 49 had watched Mia work in hard vacuum for 6 hours, with only a thin suit between her and certain death. He'd seen Ken lift equipment that should have required 4 beings of his size, and now he was witnessing them voluntarily subject themselves to conditions that would hospitalize most species, and they called it relaxation. Mia turned in Ken's arms, water streaming between them. Did you hear about the Zarath delegation's visit to the recreation deck? Ken grinned. Let me guess, they saw the gym? Marcus was doing his normal routine. Deadlifts, I think. Ambassador Treath asked if he was being punished for a crime. Both humans erupted in that alarming laughter sound. X-7749's legs trembled. He'd observed the gym phenomenon, Humans deliberately subjected themselves to physical strain that damaged their muscle tissue, forcing their bodies to repair and grow stronger. They called it working out. The collective called it voluntary self-harm. We're terrifying, aren't we? Mia said softly, though her smile remained. Completely horrifying, Ken agreed, pressing his forehead to hers in what X7749's database labeled an affectionate gesture. And they don't even know about coffee yet. X7749's translator struggled with that word. Coffee? His database pulled up preliminary reports. A stimulant beverage containing enough alkaloids to be classified as a mild poison by collective standards. Humans consumed it daily, multiple times, by choice. The shower continued for another 10 minutes, an eternity for the small alien pressed against the wall, his stealth field draining power, his mind reeling. He watched them perform elaborate cleansing rituals, saw them test the water temperature and adjust it even hotter, witnessed them engage in casual physical contact that his species reserved for once-a-lifetime mating bonds. When they finally emerged, wrapping themselves in absorbent fabrics, X7749 remained frozen in place. His mission had been to identify exploitable weaknesses in humanity. Instead, he'd discovered something far more troubling. Humans didn't have weaknesses in the conventional sense. They had tolerances, vast inexplicable tolerances for conditions that would kill most of the galaxy. They bathed in near-boiling acid. They breathed oxygen, one of the universe's most corrosive gases, at concentrations that would ignite the atmospheres of a dozen species. They subjected themselves to their own planet's crushing gravity from birth, building skeletons and muscles that made them walking tanks compared to most spacefaring races. And they did it all while laughing, touching, connecting with each other in ways his reptilian brain couldn't fully comprehend. As the bathroom finally emptied, and X7749 prepared to teleport back to his observation ship, one thought dominated his processing centers. The collective had made a catastrophic error in judgment. These weren't potential subjects for conquest or exploitation. Humans were the galaxy's apex predators, wrapped in soft skin and gentle smiles, hiding their true nature behind acts of kindness and curiosity, and they didn't even seem to know it. X7749 materialized aboard his ship, immediately sealing his report with the highest classification level available. His recommendation was simple, stark, and absolute. Under no circumstances should the collective initiate hostilities with humanity. Species designation, friendship protocols only. Threat level, existential. He attached the shower footage as evidence, knowing that no words could truly convey what he'd witnessed. Somewhere on the Perseverance, Mia and Ken were probably sharing a meal, drinking their poison coffee, laughing about their day, and the galaxy would never be quite the same.